from 404 Media. TikTok says it is not censoring free Palestine comments. Users see something different. Well, we have this video where it says TikTok is dead. Free Palestine is now considered a symbol of hate speech. Take a look at this video. So in it, you can see them type in Free Palestine as a comment. They're watching Hassan of all people, go to their notifications and refresh, and sure enough, they show system notification. A comment you posted on the date was removed for violating our community guidelines. Now, apparently, a bunch of people are reporting this, that when you go on TikTok and type in Free Palestine, you will get the comment removed. We can see a bunch of these comment details, Free Palestine, removed. 404 Media, or I'm sorry, that looks like an ad or whatever. But many people are reporting the same thing. 404 Media reports several TikTok users posted screenshots on X and Blue Sky showing a message they received after trying to comment Free Palestine. They're going to say, I tried this myself on Tuesday morning using 2 different throwaway TikTok accounts. Using one account, I could comment Free Palestine without a problem. The comment is still up. Using another, my Free Palestine comments were immediately removed repeatedly, and I received a notification that I had violated the TikTok community guidelines. I could comment with a nonsense phrase, Free Shavocado, using the same account, however, and TikTok didn't remove it. A spokesperson for TikTok told 404 the platform's policies and algorithms did not change over the weekend, adding that they're working on restoring U.S. operations back to normal. What I've heard from a lot of these people, they believe there's a conspiracy. That when TikTok went dark, Donald Trump took it over, and that it's now under the control of Israeli interests or something to that effect.
Is that illegal? Is that illegal to say in another country? Did they plug in the wrong countries?
Free Palestine?
Is it?
I don't think it's illegal to say anywhere. Like, I don't even think in Israel it's illegal to say.
Pretty wild.
Now, Free Israel, if you said something like pro-Israel, there's a lot of countries that absolutely you'd get in trouble for. I think in Malaysia, it's a crime to defend Israel. I could be wrong.
Whether they're being coerced into this or they're just like, whatever we got to do to maintain presence in the United States. You want us to ban the enemy of the country you're supporting in war, then we'll ban it. Whatever you got to do. We want our spy tech in your country.
I don't support it, but I don't know what's going on. I mean, this is really vague.
Well, look, at least you can still shout Free Shavocado.
That is really encouraging.
Goodness. That's my number one issue.
I think everyone should just switch over to saying that, and if that gets banned, then you'll know.
Delicious food, by the way.
Free Shavocado.
Oh, yeah.
Shavocado from the river to the sea.
Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Yemen are listed as having some restriction on expressions of support for Israel. So there are a lot of countries. I don't know that any country bans you saying anything about Palestine, though.
Interesting.
It's just a private company.
So the reason why this story is pretty big is because the argument was, and I believe this is true, it was only after October 7th and pro-Palestinian content became prominent on TikTok that Democrats got on board with Republicans to force China to divest. I believe, as we've gone over ad nauseum, for those of you that watch every show, we put the data from Axios that seems to suggest TikTok made an algorithmic change to promote pro-Palestinian content. After October 7th, there was 123,000 pro-Palestine comments. It was I Stand With Palestine, only 11 million views. In the next week, with 87,000, it jumped to 285 million views, which is indicative of an algorithmic push. I am not telling you to support one country or another. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying after this change happened, Democrats all of a sudden changed their tune and said, yeah, we actually think this app should be banned. Now, if it is true that TikTok is actually banning Free Palestine, perhaps they are trying to now court favor with those that sought their forced divestiture.
I'm confused. Is it that Democrats don't like Palestine or they don't like China?
Democrats are presumably, the argument is, after this what appears to be an algorithmic change, many groups lobbied to Democrats saying, China has altered the algorithm in a way that subverts U.S. foreign policy interests.
I see.
Now, depending on which bubble you live in on the internet, maybe you think the Jews control the world. These people think that Israel went and told them, we will destroy you unless you bend to our will. The reality is, if it is true that China, that ByteDance or TikTok or whatever changed the algorithm, going against American foreign policy, whatever it may be, is going to be terrifying to American politicians. And so they're going to say, hey, that's a security threat. And as much as a lot of people who hate Israel are saying it's a conspiracy, that's true. No, these politicians were on TV talking about this. Democrats and Republicans went on TV and said the support, the attacks on Israel that we see on the platform, it's bad for this country. So this has some people now speculating that TikTok was either seized, which is the conspiracy, by the U.S., or this is what they need to do to avoid being banned, which is not the case. But
that's kind of annoying. Why don't they just change their algorithm so that people can say Free Palestine without it becoming prioritized and like fake trending?
Just downrank it, shadow ban it.
Just let it be what it is.
Don't give it any particular rank. Just
let it be a word.
That's kind of a form of shadow banning.
But no, it doesn't matter. Algorithms can't do that. Algorithms, if they automate the algorithm, it is going to swing in one direction based on what the program dictates. And that's going to be for or against American foreign policy interests. And as we know, in the United States, for the longest time, up until recently, our social media was absolutely prioritizing the federal government's policy interests over the free speech of the American people.
And Trump is more pro-Israel, it seems, than Biden was. He canceled foreign aid to every country on earth except Israel.
He's like pro-Israel, but also pro-make a deal so Palestinian people could stop being killed too. Like, I think he's better on this just across the board than Biden was.
Well, the reason I even brought that up is because I think that's why you're seeing this shift is because they're sympathetic to Trump being in office. Now, like, well, he's pro-Israel, so let's go a little less pro-Palestine.
Maybe they are.
Yeah, they want to.
It's all business.
TikTok is going to want to operate 4 years safely, so they're going to throw Trump and conservatives a bone, or whoever needs to hear it. And then once Trump's out of office, they're going to bomb the algorithm with Dylan Mulvaney and other like-minded ideas that subvert the minds of the next generation. And right now, it seems that many people in the conservative movement are in favor of what TikTok is doing. And I think it's terrifying.
Can you clarify that? You said a couple other countries too. He didn't cancel foreign aid too. I don't know anything.
I believe there's a couple others.
Well,
do you know off the top of your head?
No, I think there was two others.
Cancel as much as we can. That makes me so happy. No more welfare queens across the world. I mean, I'm surprised that they wouldn't censor something like From the River to the Sea instead of Free Palestine, which seems a little bit more innocuous.
I mean, I'm surprised that it is. If it is being censored, it surprises me.
It surprises me too. That's not a scary phrase. I understand the arguments that, like, talking about hang gliders and freedom fighters of people who murdered other people, okay. But it's like Free Palestine, okay, well,
Even if I disagree with those, they should be allowed.
There you go.
It sucks, but
I'm just surprised.
I heard that Trump paused foreign aid, and then yesterday someone said, except for Israel.
I think there are others.
Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, if I understand correctly.
I looked that up, but is that confirmed?
Right. That's I don't. That's what the information that I have. I can't.
What I looked up I didn't see that. But let me try and get direct sourcing.
Hopefully, we don't get more aggressive social media censorship.
Oh, geez. I mean, if the thing about TikTok is it is owned by ByteDance, which serves the CCP in a lot of ways.
It's a totally crazy, unhinged platform.
It's like, I mean, I don't know the Chinese Communist Party. I don't know anyone in the party. I would love to, but I have heard like, yo, that's very bad. What they're doing is wrong. What they're doing is heavy censorship.
I mean,
like full force, just violent, shutting down protests. Like the Tiananmen Square massacre apparently was horrific. So I wouldn't be even remotely surprised if they're just like smack it.
They have Uyghurs in concentration camps. They're terrible.
I don't know that those countries are exempt.
Oh, really?
I'm looking right now.
Let me just read just to make sure. So I'm reading the executive order. It says 90-day pause in United States foreign development assistance for assessment of programmatic efficiencies and consistency with United States foreign policy. All department agency heads with responsibility for United States foreign development assistance programs shall immediately pause new obligations and disbursements of development assistance funds to foreign countries and implementing non-governmental organizations, international organizations, and contractors pending reviews of such programs for programmatic efficiency and consistency with the United States policy. To be conducted within 90 days of this order, the office, the OMB shall enforce this, blah, blah, blah.
PBS is reporting that some of the biggest recipients of U.S. assistance, Israel, Egypt, and Jordan, are unlikely to see dramatic reductions as those amounts are included in long-term packages that date back decades or in some cases governed by treaty obligations.
Sure, that's presumptive. That's them saying perhaps. The executive order doesn't have any exceptions. It literally just says we're going to review all foreign aid.
Nice.
So he could right before he signs the order, be like, send them $100 billion. All right, no more.
He could.
No,
but he didn't.
The president can't just give money like that.
Oh, you're right.
It's an act of Congress.
That's got to go through Congress.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a lot of these executive orders are interesting because Congress will pass a law. Like the TikTok ban, for instance, is a law passed by Congress, signed by the president, upheld by the Supreme Court. Trump has no authority to stop that. He can instruct federal law enforcement not to enforce it, but he cannot take away the penalties from companies. He tried to, but that's not within the scope of the president's powers. So as of right now, once again, Google has not restored TikTok. Trump's executive order was largely meaningless.
I think this is wild. Okay, it's an act of Congress. I'm not a fan.
I don't think they did it right.
No, I'm not a fan on the ban.
I'm a big fan of the ban of TikTok.
Tell me more. Tell me why.
Why would we allow a foreign country to control mass media in the United States and a strong portion, not the biggest, not a majority, but a strong portion of our economy?
Couldn't we have worked out some other sort of deal so
like
that didn't happen? Change your algorithm. Don't
open source the algorithm
propagandize
and give
us.
the U.S. full control of it.
I don't know if we even need full control, but it's like, can we actually see what's going on? Maybe just a little bit of transparency.
Nope. Because then they just show us that they're screwing over Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and we watch them do it. Look, what people need to understand about TikTok or any other social media platform, even X, Facebook, YouTube, et cetera, is that they're going to apply the system is going to be built on pressures they can apply. What YouTube did, and this is proven by data, was they created a recommendation algorithm that favored the left by a small percentage, but substantial, with the intention of stopping Donald Trump. There was a researcher in Australia who posted this, and you could see that if you went to a conservative YouTuber's channel, after you watched their video, there was a certain percentage of recommendation that would be liberal leaning. If you went to a liberal channel, you would get very little, if any, conservative. Meaning, if someone said, "Hey, watch this video about immigration from Matt Walsh," and you clicked on it, after you were done, it would autoplay a liberal arguing the opposite. If someone said, "Hey, watch this video from, the Young Turks," and you clicked it, the next video would be another liberal arguing the same thing. That creates a flow towards the ideology they want. TikTok is doing that. Look, there was
Is it different than what YouTube does, though? I mean, how different is it?
The difference is that in the United States, I can file a lawsuit against YouTube. We can elect a president who then issues an executive order, and YouTube bends the knee and apologizes. I can file lawsuits about violation of contracts. I can't do that with the Chinese Communist Party.
How much of TikTok is owned by China, though? I thought it was not the entire company.
Right. It's a small percentage and that's why they have to divest from it, because they do collect the data. Some of the reports that have come up about what TikTok collects, they inject JavaScript keyloggers if you open any links through the app. Mm-hmm. And it's been reported, and this could be wrong, reported that it collects data from other apps on your phone.
Yep.
That data goes outside this country to a foreign adversary. But I'm not even as concerned. That's very terrifying if those reports are true. Maybe they're not. The worrying thing to me is that Dylan Mulvaney had 13 million followers and Riley Gaines had 600,000. That stuff's patently obvious. Prominent Trump-supporting and conservative voices were banned. And that's why Trump and conservatives came out initially and said, we have to shut this down. They're attempting to swing the politics of the United States.
Let me ask you that, because this is an issue that I haven't staked out very firm ground on, which is one of the things that sucks about what we do is that everything that happens, you're never allowed to go, I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that. You have to immediately know exactly how you feel. But that's not, sometimes I'm just like, okay, I can kind of see it from both ways. And this is one of those things I can kind of see it both ways. And I do agree with you that to me, the more compelling aspect of the argument is about how this is harmful to kids and how it's polluting the minds of children. To me, just as a parent, the way that I think, I care more about that. The stuff about, the Chinese government is, well, it's like, everything we do on our phone, nothing we do is private. All the information is out there. It's like, so it's hard to even fearmonger about that stuff anymore. None of us have any privacy at all every time. But that part does resonate. But then my issue with that is, okay, so you ban TikTok. Well, then there's approximately 600 billion other websites and apps that are just as harmful to the young mind. And then they just go to that. So part of me thinks if we're going to get to the point now, like banning an app, that's a big step. And I'm not necessarily opposed to big steps. Sometimes you got to, especially to protect kids, big steps. Okay. But it's like, I wouldn't start with TikTok. I would start with, like, what about OnlyFans? I mean, it's literally a prostitution app. This is a multi-billion-dollar cyber prostitution ring Why don't we ban that?
Well,
and then get to start talking about some of these social media apps.
So the way I view it is we here in the United States have a set of rules, laws, and absolutely, let's have Congress ban OnlyFans, or at least require submitted IDs to these things to prove your age. And protect children the way we would in the real world. And so my view is largely two things can be bad. So right now, my concern is, I'll put it this way. YouTube, Facebook, X, they were manipulating us for political ends. And we challenged them. There were whistleblowers. There were journalists who did great work. There were lawsuits that we won that got information revealed. There were debates. I had a debate with Twitter's executives with Joe Rogan. And we won. We called them out and we swayed the American mind. And we have affected positive change. Imperfect, but positive change so far. We will never know what the algorithm of TikTok does. TikTok is banned in China. They won't let their kids watch it. They don't let their country use it. And ByteDance, which is Chinese owned and owns a portion of TikTok, has access to the data as well as control over the algorithm. And in China, if the Communist Party comes to you and says, do it, they will. So I understand that there are many different bad things. China buying farmland is a bad thing. Let's stop that too. I think OnlyFans is horrifying and there should be restrictions. I don't think it is a simple issue of this is an app that's bad for the minds of our kids, so we're going to ban it. This is out of the control and scope of the United States. We can ban OnlyFans. We can file lawsuits. We can change the law. We have changed the law for TikTok. It's not a ban. It's a forced divestiture. So China can sell off their portion to an American company, and then there's no problem.
Yeah, I will say that being still kind of on the fence on it, I will say that to see some conservatives, I mean, it's one, if you're conservative, you're like, well, I'm against the ban for these principled reasons. Okay, I can get that. But I am uncomfortable to see some conservatives that seem like have circled the wagon around TikTok to the point that they're now like very pro TikTok, where TikTok is a good thing. And no matter where you stand on the ban, we should all at least be on the same page that this is just objectively not good. For like to have kids who just spend all day scrolling this damn thing and watching these videos. Your whole life is this. I mean, we've got kids. This is their whole life now. Their whole life is just. And I know I'm a billion other people complain about this, but it is. This is a major crisis to have entire generations of kids who it's not even a human existence. It's like it's this robotic existence of just staring mindlessly at this, and you're having your mind controlled by an algorithm. So we should at least all, wherever we stand on the ban, it's like this is not a good thing, and we should all be able to agree on that at least.
Agreed. And have you seen our breakdown of Dylan Mulvaney's content in the past? I'm not assuming you did. I'm assuming you probably haven't.
No, I don't think so.
We when this whole Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light thing was going on, I in my research pulled up Mulvaney's posts and went to the earliest posts, and what do you find? Dylan Mulvaney was doing something called Gay Safari.
Yeah.
And he was a theater kid, gay singer who was trying to make a show. He was trying to be famous. There's the viral video where Dylan Mulvaney goes on The Price is Right and wigs out. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Runs around in circles, does a fake rowboat, rolls around on the ground, and Hugh Carey's like, okay,
slapstick,
what's he doing?
Very slapstick.
Very
comedy.
much, please look at me. Dylan Mulvaney created a series of videos that weren't really getting any traction. Eventually, Mulvaney made a video, something about coming out as non-binary. The views were higher. Then some gay safari videos and some other videos that didn't really get a lot of views. And then I'm trans, more views. What had happened was the algorithm told Dylan Mulvaney, we will promote this and not this, that but not this. And so Dylan Mulvaney was making content. Some worked, some didn't. And as soon as Mulvaney did the trans thing and got a bunch of views, Mulvaney then started doubling down, increasingly undergoing body modification to adhere to what the algorithm had demanded of him, now making Dylan Mulvaney what Mulvaney is today. If you look at some of the earliest Dylan Mulvaney Days of Girlhood videos, it is obvious satire. Dylan Mulvaney undergoing no treatments or surgeries, insulting women in a comedic routine, saying, now that I'm a woman, I'm going to go buy a dress that costs too much money and complain about, just very offensive stereotypes about women. But how do you chase the algorithm if every day you have to do 1 degree more instead of going back to doing Gay Safari, which wasn't popular. So, Dylan Mulvaney did what the algorithm told him to do, which is get surgery.
I agree. The algorithms are all bad and they harm children, but I'm going to connect it to how we were talking about rights and crime earlier. I think we need like a renaissance in good parenting again, because I see so many parents outsourcing their parenting to the internet, and these kids are stuck in doom scroll, life, and they need to get back to actually raising children.
I agree with the principle. I just want to speak to that for a minute because, and I hear that response anytime I talk about. One of my big issues is at least age verification on all these porn sites. There's no argument against it, not any rational one. And I'm very much in favor of banning a lot of these sites outright, which I know puts me, the libertarians won't go along with that.
Boo hiss.
But so what I often hear that. I often hear, well, this is about the parents. The parents should do their jobs. And I agree. But also, I think sometimes we understate just how rigged everything is against parents. It is so difficult. Like, how do your kids are going out into a world where this stuff is everywhere. It is just everywhere. And so parents need a little help. We can't do it all on our own. Now, I've gone as extreme as you can on this issue with my own kids, and that my kids don't have phones. We just don't do phones. We don't do internet in the house. It's not going to last forever. Like, eventually they're going to have a phone. And for a lot of other kids, they do have phones, and I'm opposed to giving your kids a phone, but it's not this extreme move. A lot of, and then also, even if you don't give your kid to a phone, if they go to school somewhere, my kids are homeschooled, but if they go to school somewhere, they're around kids that have it.
Their friends have phones.
Right. They go to a friend's house, and so they still have access to all those screens. And so it's just the parent, you can't, unless you're going to lock your kid in a room until they're 18 years old and give them no access to any kind of media. Unless you're going to do that.
Is that bad?
They're going to.
Right. A little bit.
Yeah, they're going to have access to it. And so, but then there's this attitude of like, we're not going to do anything to help parents on this at all. And I just don't get that. And because there are basic things that are low cost, require almost no sacrifice. Age verification on these sites. What's the downside? The only downside is for the porn sites.
I have an idea. I was talking with Allison about this because we're having our kids soon, and I said, why don't we build an underground bunker where everything looks like the 90s, and we will raise our child for 18 years as if it was the 90s with the 90s technology, and you can't go outside because the air is poisonous, and then one day, when she's old enough, expose her to what the world is really like.
That's the M. Night Shyamalan. That's the village.
But to your point,
I mean, the other
point,
concern, aside from parenting, though, is millions of people had shops on here and they made a living on here, and they weren't all just like insufferable Dylan Mulvaney clickbaiters. They sold T-shirts, they sold mugs, like a TikTok shop. And a lot of people got really hurt.
And that's the manipulation. They dangle a crying woman in front of you and say, but look at the poor asylum seeker, as the child traffickers are running across the border. So TikTok says, we have 7 million entrepreneurs selling mugs and shirts. Why won't you let us corrupt the mind of your children? And I say, I'm not going to be swayed by the sympathies of the average of these people. I get it. I feel bad for them. But the first thing we see when Trump signs his executive order was these journalists put out videos of crying migrant women.
Well, sure.
Because they're trying to manipulate you into accepting that we are being exploited and abused in extreme ways. So TikTok has a lot of good people on it, and that's fine. But if all we are asking is that the company divest from a codified foreign adversary, that's not unreasonable. You want to sell your mugs? You go ahead and do it. But this company has access to a foreign security threat that's going to manipulate the algorithm, and it's going to take our data. So we just asked them, sell it off, make your money, let the company operate. And they said no. And TikTok, of their own volition, shut down. The law did not require them to do so. They faked that. And then they came back and said, thank you, Donald Trump, for bringing us back. Never did. TikTok is still banned in the App Store on Apple and Google because that's what the law actually did.
Are they going to divest?
No.
When
they said they won't do it.
Do we think Donald Trump can convince them?
No. And the question I have for you guys then is, if it's about making money and running a business, and ByteDance only owns a portion of TikTok, or China only owns a portion, these investors only own a portion, why not just sell? You've got the brunt of the U.S. government saying sell or lose everything. They chose to go to 0 instead of $20 billion?
I'm
They're
curious.
looking to they want to use their influence over the American people to try and get the American people to convince politicians to change. But also, if I truly believe that if TikTok isn't, like if the Chinese Communist Party is removed from TikTok totally, then it's of no value to the Chinese Communist Party. So they don't want to divest because it's an apparatus of
money.
Also, if it gets sold, dude,
money's not a consideration for the Chinese Communist Party. That you have to ask yourself, especially in international exchange, what is money? Money is largely meaningless on the oil market. So when we say China divest TikTok and China there should be a forced divestiture, they're thinking to themselves, $10 billion doesn't move the needle for us.
Oh, and if
the ability to convince 170 million Americans that Osama bin Laden was right, which was happening on TikTok, is worth more than $1 trillion to these people.
Dude, it's absolutely about espionage and influencing American opinion.
I think if they did sell to an American company, they would have the algorithm. They'd be like, "You've been doing what for the last 5 years with our people?"
Do we have a shareholder statement? I haven't read anything.
It's not publicly traded.
Oh, I understand now.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.